Please open your Bibles to Ezekiel chapter 7. We're going to be starting in verse 19. The title of this sermon, Devil Money. In verse 19, it says, "They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity." So what I believe is the devil takes money and sets it up in between you and God, and it becomes a stumbling block. It becomes an idol. See, God provided the food and the water in the field for you. And what the devil does is he created money and said, no, you need this to get what God already provided for you, making it an idol and putting himself in between what God has already made. That's the stumbling block that causes people to idolize money. It causes people to steal money. It causes people to sell their souls for money, their bodies. It causes people to commit violence against other people for it. So it is used as a tool and a stumbling block by the devil. But it says that when in the day of the wrath of the Lord, that you'll cast all your money in the street as being worthless. And I'll give you an example. I believe that there's a famine coming on this world very soon. And you will see that your money really doesn't have value. Because if you can't get food or water and you have money, what good is your money? It's useless. You can't eat it. You can't drink it. So if in the event of a famine, you will realize that your money is actually worthless and that you've been deceived. Jesus said, woe unto the rich. Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. And in the parable of Lazarus and the rich man went to hell. We also know that Judas sold Jesus out for money. We also know that the guards that were guarding the tomb were paid off to lie about the resurrection of Jesus. So you see how the devil continuously uses money to corrupt. It corrupts souls and minds of men, and it becomes an idol. In Revelation chapter 9, it's after God plagues them, it says they continue to worship idols of silver and gold and wood. That is your money. So over and over again, we have examples of money being used by the devil to create idols and to get in between you and God. Jesus, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24 said, ye cannot serve mammon and God. You can't serve both, or you'll either love the one or hate the other. That means if you love money and you spend all your time seeking after money and it becomes your idol, then you can't serve God. You have to either serve God or the money. You will hate the one and hold to the other. That's what Jesus said. But it is the stumbling block of iniquity, and it will be cast out as worthless in the day of the Lord's wrath. It's not going to be able to save you in the day of the Lord's wrath. I would now like to turn to Luke chapter 20, and we're going to be starting in verse 21. This was about money too, where they're asking Jesus about it. And they asked him, saying, Master, we know that thou sayest and teachest rightly, neither acceptest the person of any, but teachest the way of God truly. Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar, or no? But he perceived their craftiness, and said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Show me a penny. Whose image and subscription hath it? And they answered and said, Caesar's. And he said unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which be Caesar's, and unto God the things that be God's. So they wanted to get out of paying their taxes. They wanted to ask Jesus about the money. And Jesus said, show me the money. Show me what's on the money. And it was an image of Caesar, which is a type of the Antichrist or beast, because he was a Roman Caesar, and he had put himself on the money, and it's a deception that the devil uses time and time again, because he knows you're going to idolize that money and covet after it. So he puts an image on it to cause you to idolize the image that's on the money when you're idolizing the money. So he said, let me see the money. I'm going to show you some modern day money, and I want to show you the image that is on this modern day money. And if you look right there, that is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. Now, people that have knowledge, they know that that is a representation of the fallen angels that set up Egypt. And the all-seeing eye represents the one world order. And we know that that is one of the symbols of the devil. So our modern money, if Jesus would have said, what's on the money, you would have had to show him, and he would have said, what's that, a pyramid with an all-seeing eye? Isn't that in some kind of cult that worships the devil? That's why I call it devil money. So you see how he slips his little symbols on the money. But Jesus said, render unto Caesar's that be Caesar's. He said, well, there's a picture of him on it, then it must belong to him. Well, if it's a symbol of the devil on it, then it must belong to the devil. So, now I would like to turn to Acts chapter 8, when someone tried to purchase the gift of God with money. In verse 20, this is what the Apostle Peter said. But Peter said unto him, thy money perish with thee, because thou hast thought that the gift of God may be purchased with money. See, God doesn't want anything to do with the money of this world. Like I said, John the Baptist and Jesus, they didn't seek after riches to be wealthy. Jesus said John the Baptist was the greatest prophet that ever lived. And he lived off of wild honey and locust in the wilderness. He preached in the wilderness. He didn't need the money of this world. And Jesus said the birds of the air have nests and foxes have holes, but the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head. So Jesus didn't even own a house or property. So he didn't seek after the riches of this world, and neither did John the Baptist, the two most spiritual men that ever walked the face of this earth. You can't purchase your salvation. Those people that think that they can keep giving devil money to these religious organizations and somehow that's going to get them into the kingdom of heaven, they have deceived themselves. Yes, they have. Now I would like to turn to 1 Timothy chapter 6. And we're going to be looking in verse 10, where the apostle reveals something to us. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So Paul tells you that the love of money is the root of all evil, and that the devil uses it to corrupt people and pierce themselves through with many sorrows. People regret a lot of things that they do with money. If they've stolen money, they regret it. If they've coveted money, if they've sold their body for money, it pierces them through. But do you see how the devil used your covetousness for money to get you to sin against God? That's the stumbling block that he sets up. Now I would like to turn to the book of James. And we're going to be looking in chapter 5 of the book of James in reference to the end of time, dealing with the rich men and money. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. So the riches are corrupted. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped up treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped have entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. So, here's another prophecy about what's going to happen to the rich man and how their gold and silver is cankered. That means it's rusted when they sit there with all this money, hoarding it in these banks so they can have numbers to admire while people are starving in the street, while people need goods of this world. They hoard it all to themselves, and it becomes rusted and cankered, and it'll bear witness against them in the day of judgment. You know, I would like to turn to Revelation chapter 13 and make you aware that the beast and the devil is going to use money to where you can't buy, sell, or trade to give you a mark. See, your covetousness for the things of this world and what you can get with the money that the devil has set up, he's now going to turn the money into a digital mark, into a digital currency that's all on his computer systems, that is fallen angel technology that was set up. I would like to start reading in Revelation chapter 13, and we're going to be reading in verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So the final play by the devil to get your soul is going to be tied in with money, to where you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade unless you have his mark that allows you to spend your digital currency in this world. So he's going to hold the money up as bait and say, you can't have it and you can't spend it unless you get my mark. That's the final play by the devil. So it's used as a stumbling block to cause you to sin. It's used to create idolatry. He gets you to serve it. He gets you to serve mammon more than you serve God. He gets you to slave for it. And then he makes you think that it's such a good thing that you can have it. So it's all a deception, and he's going to do the same thing with the mark of the beast. And I'm going to wrap it up right there, that that's what the devil does with the money, which is an idol, and it is devil money.